Welcome to another episode of How You Grievin with Eli. And we're going to talk about relationships, closure, protecting your peace, and the challenges that come with navigating life's transitions. Eli also shares how his experience in theater have shaped his understanding of himself and the world around him. This episode is thoughtful, it's honest, and it's a reminder that healing often begins when we're willing to tell the truth about where we are. Let's get into it. How you grieving?
I haven't talked to you in a couple hours. So how's work going?
Right. Work is good. I mean, the people are peopling,
Yeah.
and we
Okay.
got to deal with the people peopling. So that's
The
about
people.
it.
We don't need to talk about the people because the people is people. Happy
Mhm.
Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
How are you feeling this Black
Um,
History Month?
I'm actually feeling good, and like especially after the Super Bowl last night, even though it wasn't a black man on stage. Listen, as a
Yeah.
black man, I fully support all of it because it represented culture, and culture was a highlight in this country full of so many cultures. So hey, I'm with it.
Yeah. Shout out to Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl performance. And I love a good bodega. So he had a bodega in there. I was happy. I love a bodega and I love Puerto Rico. So I was good
Facts,
to go.
facts on facts.
Oh my God. Eli, do you want me to call you Eli? What you want me to call you?
Eli is perfectly fine.
Eli. Welcome to How You Grieve in the podcast. You finally made it.
Finally, where's
It's
my right? I need
happening.
to throw that song on there in the edit.
You try to get me sued. We'll,
Look,
we'll put it on a reel. We'll put it on a reel.
right. Hmm.
Okay. Um, so you feeling okay? I hit record already. Because I know how we can do. I'm not gonna do an intro. We'll do that separate from here. So we'll just get started.
Let's go.
How you grieving?
Um, how am I grieving today? I'm really in a good space.
Okay.
Um, I feel healthy today. Um, I'm more in a maintenance space. I'm not I'm not trying to, overcome anything. I'm in a good space.
What is a maintenance space?
It's a space where you want to really honor where you can honor where you are and let it be healthy. You can say, "Hey, I'm actually okay. Am I perfect? No. But I'm in a space where I can navigate easily without a lot of, hyper emotion, a lot of, just, peaks and valleys. I'm in a nice even space where I can just kind of exist and be happy in my day to day. So,
That made me think. I never heard somebody say I'm at a maintenance or I'm in a maintenance space.
hmm
I think I might be in a maintenance space where I'm happy with where I am. It may not be 100% where I want to be, but like I'm maintaining.
I'm okay. Right. I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
legit. Hey, wait. Oh yeah. We always say, "Hey, oh, I'm okay." No, I actually can mean that right now.
Yeah.
Because I've learned to be honest on how you feel. Um, do things happen where it can change it? Absolutely. But nothing's happened. So
Well, that's a beautiful place to be. And
it
it's
is.
hard for people to get there, like, or just even accept their day to day.
Mhm.
That's
But
insane.
and I'll say this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Uh-huh.
and I'll say this because also because sometimes we're so used to being in unhealthy spaces. When we get into a decent space, we're looking for something unhealthy to sabotage it. Honor that moment. And so that's kind of where I am. Like I'm honoring the good moments, like I be so down and out in the bad ones, So or I'm just honoring the space, if that
Why
makes
do
sense.
you that makes a lot of sense. Why do you think when you ask people, "Oh, how you doing? You good? You good?" They it automatically just say, "I'm okay." Like it's hard for people to really just say, I am not okay today.
It's the fear of dealing with the emotion.
Hmm.
And they say like a lot of things. The first step is like admitting you have a problem.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, sometimes we don't want to admit exactly the truth of what's going on, and that's what keeps you in those spaces longer than what you need to be. So I say, hey, I have this problem, or I don't know what the problem is, but I'm not okay. And that's when you seek professional help. You have some way, it may not be professional, but you have some way to help you find out what it is, someone to talk to, someone to dissect, you know, those moments or those feelings, those emotions, someone to say, oh, well, this happened, but I know I don't feel okay, but I don't know how it made me feel. Finding someone to talk through, you know, these situations with to where you can get to the core or the root of what happened. So as and a lot of fear comes in, especially in our communities. You know, mental health is now becoming a very, you know, popular topic, but you know, generationally, it's just not. It's, you know, you'll be okay, push through it, be strong, all this. So, you know, oh, and that take me to, I'm not going to go there yet, but, you know, but we have to learn how to, you know, really just be honest first with self so we can
yeah,
then be honest with the world.
yeah. And then, like you said, sometimes it takes somebody else to help you get there. Like I'll be talking to a friend, and me and you, we know each other very well. But like the other day, I was talking to one of my good friends, and I was like, "How you doing today?" And she was like, "I'm okay." And I was like, "I said you're not okay." I said, "You're not okay. You got a lot going on." I said, and I listed like the things that she's experienced over like the last few days, weeks, and years. I was like, you still have like things happening in your life. And like it's
Mhm.
okay to say, I'm not okay today. I said, you can
It's
have
okay.
that moment. Like nobody owes you a damn thing.
Damn.
But you owe it to yourself to just be like, I'm not okay today. Just to admit that to yourself and stop
You
trying
do?
to always have this guard up to like when you talk to people, like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. It's okay to be like, I'm not all right today.
Mm-hmm. And again, you don't have to name exactly what it is, but just say, hey, no, I'm not. Oh,
Yeah.
and not to, you know, give it power, but to give it a name.
Yes.
So
Giving it a name. I think that's also something like our people struggle with. And I think it is giving it a name, like identifying what the issue is. I think there's something in that that makes us feel like we gave it power. Hmm.
it's honoring whatever. Well, I'm gonna say honoring, but it's giving it a name.
Yeah.
You know, putting a face on. You know, it's I started saying like you're putting a face on the beast, so you know who you fighting. Because if you don't name it, what tools do you need to combat it?
Yeah, you don't know.
You know, if you don't know what to call it. You know, if you don't know what its characteristics are, if you haven't, delved into what it is so that you're not fighting around it, you're fighting it.
Okay, so last night I watched Relationship Goals.
Mm-hmm. I
Did you
saw it.
watch it?
I
Oh,
did. Huh. Huh. I actually did see it.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Two things about me. I love a good rom com and I love a good sad story about somebody has died. Like I love it because I'm looking for the overcome of it all. When I watch these movies, I'm looking for the change. I'm looking for like, okay, like you have to accept your experience. You got to come too. So Kelly Rowland, she did a good job.
She
So
did.
for the people that did not watch Relationship Goals,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert. I mean, by the time this come out, you should have seen it already.
Right.
um, but her mom had died. She was so focused on her career,
Mm-hmm.
like career driven to the point where she didn't grieve her mom. And
Mm-hmm.
also, as far as like her relationship goes, That woman had 3 sheets of paper identifying the man that needs to be in her life.
And she said it took her a long time to develop this list. So this wasn't just something she sat down and did in one setting. This is a
Years worth.
living, breathing document
Yes.
that she
Like
had in her life. So how can you find something to keep adding to the list?
you keep adding to the list. That was insane. So, this was not
Go
supposed
ahead.
this was not supposed to go there. But do you think we do that?
Think we can subconsciously, as much as we say we don't, you
Yeah.
know, because you do have things you don't want to compromise on, as far as who you are as a basic person. Now,
Yes.
is that on a list? No, but is it a core of who you are and what you want in a partner? Yes. Um, can that change? Absolutely. That's why you don't put it on the list,
That's right.
because
It's gonna
because
change.
we evolve as people just naturally. So you writing it, I say putting it on a list, kind of puts you in a
Makes it
box.
permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say we do and we don't. And I know that makes no sense, but it makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me. I
It
get it.
makes, and that is all that matters.
Okay.
Um, but it's like, but it's something you have to be conscious of when you are being intentional with getting to know someone. Are you doing it in a space to where you leave your both parties room to evolve and grow while still building together?
So I think that has a lot to do with grieving your previous relationship or
Yeah.
relationships.
Hmm.
Like, go ahead.
I would say, yeah. What's the closure? Was the closure healthy? Did you
Did
take
you
the
get
space
it?
you needed? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did you
agree.
get the closure? And I feel like a lot of people probably hold on and create that list because they never got closure. And I think at some point you have to realize that closure is not necessarily necessary
Yeah.
because it's
Hmm.
not something you're going to get from
Hmm.
every partner. Sometimes you'll get that closure, and then sometimes you have people that you're just not going to get that from. So you need to
Hmm.
move on.
I was just thinking, sometimes we're thinking closure is this exact thing we need. No, closure is what you got. Now you have to accept it or
Now
don't.
you got to accept it. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we look at closure as like the thing to get when it all ends. Like we
Hmm.
want to be presented the needle and thread
Hmm.
so we can go
No.
on and sew that mug up.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
that's
we
not,
want that. We want that nice, neat bow to say, "Oh,
yeah.
this is done." Child, that closure might be a little a mud puddle you done stomped in and done splattered everywhere. But you say, that was a mess. Okay.
Yeah. How have you grieved previous relationships?
In the past, I was a person who put up walls. When I was, I would kind of, because I have a huge personality.
Yes,
A
he
lot of
does.
people know that. But my wall wasn't me shying down. My wall was in your face. My wall was very, the bigger the personality I think I had,
Yeah.
was me overcoming. So, and not really dealing with the hurt, the
Yeah.
disappointment, sometimes shame, and so I chose to wear that mask of I'm on stage rather than, but while, then I go home exhausted.
Okay. Pause. Because people, the people that are watching are going to be like, on stage. Can you tell the people what stages you've been on?
No, so I do perform in on stage in musical theater, acting, music, singing, dancing, acting, all that good stuff. I've done the latest show I did was The Color Purple. Before that, the Scottsboro Boys. I've done Cinderella, Dreamgirls. I've done several shows, so I'm no stranger to
The
the
stage.
lights of the stage. So, and that's putting on a character. So sometimes, I'm so used to putting on a character.
Yeah.
It's something easy to do. So what face can I put on to get through this rather than dealing with this?
You know what? I have a really good question for you. But I also want to say that he is brilliant because I went to the Scottsboro Boys. When was that? Last year? 2 years ago?
That was last year. Yeah.
Last year?
The beginning of last year.
And it was I enjoyed seeing that side of my friend because I had never seen it. So besides that one time I was scrolling in the bathroom on TikTok and saw you background singing with Kim Burrell from a long time.
He was like, "Is that you?"
I said, and like you do so many things. Like you're athletic, you're creative. Like you have a job, right? Like you do all of these things, and then I just was scrolling. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was, I was not surprised, but I just was like, "This, ugh.
Listen, and that was a
Yes.
long time ago. That was what that's yeah.
Yeah." So how does you being in theater, you acting, how does that affect your like day to day? Because you can go into character or you can create these different characters and you know how to handle and move in certain situations specific to acting. So how does that like influence your day to day?
So, and this is the first thing you got to do. Who are you without the glitz and glamour of it all?
Yeah.
Who are you at at your core? Without acting, without the job, and sometimes that's a hard question to ask,
Yeah.
because these things heavily influence us. All these things we're a part of heavily influence you. But if this is suddenly gone, then what? So and sometimes it doesn't always have to take away everything because you're putting yourself in everything you do. So that's the way I kind of look at it. I learned, what is Eli? What is the character? What is Eli putting into the character? Also, but what is the character teaching Eli? And so it's kind of it's a tapestry to really look at. And that's why I find it, sometimes you gotta like, well, I'm acting like what I did in this show, this, that, that, other. So you gotta really
Yeah.
just really, it's a I wouldn't say a struggle, but it's a consciousness. And in some shows, dealing with, heavy subject matter, you have something what's called an intimacy coach. And what this
What is
person
it called?
does is intimacy.
Okay.
And it's not sexual,
Yeah.
but it's really the closeness that you have, to your castmates, to yourself, to these characters. And sometimes these characters go through some pretty traumatic situations or deal with some heavy, subject matter, but we are also people who feel, who
Hmm.
hold on to things. So you have, someone who's there to, it's kind of like a therapist on set, to help you, to navigate your emotions and to help you push through to understand this is a character, it's not you. Because if you're sitting someone, and let's just dive off the deep end. Let's say you're dealing in, because with the Scottsboro Boys, it deals with rape, and you have, it's not saying you're being constantly saying you're a rapist. Someone over and over again is telling you you're a rapist. You raped this person, and that's being
Yeah. It's said
told
at
directly to you. So do you, so like, it's like, damn, I know I'm not, but but that's you as a person, but as a character, how does this character respond to,
mm,
this behavior?
yeah.
So, so it's really just it's looking at. I know I'm talking all around, but I'm just talking.
What is one of the things that maybe one of the characters has taught you about yourself, or maybe even like your castmates, or just one thing you've learned about yourself in this?
One thing I learned about myself is I am stronger than a lot of times I believe myself to be. Um, Mentally, because when you look at it, a lot of times, I say I used to wear my mask of a big personality.
Yeah,
It's okay to chill, but when it's time to turn on, turn on. But it's okay, but that doesn't mean you're any less than, any weaker because of, you still can have, a strong presence just by being.
just by being. That's interesting because you have a strong presence just by being.
I mean,
Baby, that presence be strong.
I
So,
thank you.
and I thank you, seriously. I want to ask you some questions that I have put together specifically for my podcast. And there, it's a random group of questions, but they are all pretty like interesting and maybe personal. So I'm going to ask you to pick a number between, now I don't want you to judge me about my odd number ish right now because I'm working
Okay.
through my list. But
Well,
between,
not your list. It's like,
not my Kelly list, not my
right,
Kelly
okay.
list, between 1 and 21.
19.
So this is going to be interesting. The question is, were you happy with the funeral arrangements from whatever previous funeral you have been to?
What was the last funeral I actually went to? So, the last one I went to was my best friend's husband's sister. I know that's a whole lot.
My best friend, husband, sister got it.
Right. And it wasn't for one of my family members. So
Yeah.
I wasn't in the space to really look and say, was it something I would have liked from one of my family members? No, because I'm just a little, I'm huge on celebrating. Was it
Okay.
nice? Yes.
Yeah.
Are the things out there different? Absolutely, because I'm me.
Yeah.
you know so and I hate because even because not is that was still a space that that family was able to celebrate the life of their loved one. And ultimately, was it beautiful? Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you could feel the love that they had for her, and that's what it's really about. Do you get the essence of the person that passed in that service? And I didn't know her well enough to say absolutely yes, but being sensitive to and have some level of discernment, I could really see the love they have for her. So it was nice, it was beautiful. And I actually was able to sing um as part of the service. And I'm always my
Yes.
worst critic anywhere.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful way to celebrate, honor, and show respects, especially now that my best friend's husband is now pretty much my family too.
Yeah.
So essence, that's now my family too. And it was right after their wedding, right? So that was another thing. You know,
Yeah. I just I wish there was another, I know there are other ways for us to celebrate life, but I wish we had picked up a different type of tradition because I don't like it.
not having a funeral.
Yeah, me either. I don't like it. I don't like it. And they're all just the same and I can't stand it. I wish there was another way that we did to celebrate
Hmm.
that
You know what
person.
I'm doing?
What?
I'm not having a funeral. I'm having a concert with an open bar.
That's beautiful. But let me tell you something. I'm gonna have a little small memorial. If you can make it, you can. If you can't, you can't.
Mm-mm.
Right?
I only want a
But
memorial.
let me tell you what's gonna be there. All different types of wings. All different types of wings. You know, and there may be some cats walking around. I'm going to be one with Peaches. Get me out of here.
That's
My goodness.
hilarious.
But no, I would like to be cremated. I don't
Same.
want to be put in a, if I were to be put in a box, it would have to be like a wicker basket that became one with the earth, right? Pick another number.
3. Your little laughs.
You know, I recently learned that it was pointed out to me by my aunt that I laugh after everything. I like chuckle after everything I say. And it's really annoying that that was pointed out to me. And my aunt, she was like, well, his mother does the same thing. And I was like,
See,
and then I talked to my mother that day, and she really does. She was like, ha ha. Like, it's just after everything. It's really annoying. Um, if you could use food, I may have to change this question specifically for you, but if you could use food or meal to describe what this person, somebody that passed, what they meant to you, what would it be?
person.
I don't know. Somebody who passed, or it doesn't have to be someone who's passed. It could be a previous relationship, you know, somebody that really like had an impact on your life and y'all aren't together anymore. It could be anything.
I got it. Gumbo.
Why gumbo?
So with gumbo, you start your gumbo, you got to have the right roux.
Mm-hmm.
And a roux is something that's not done quickly. It's takes texture,
Huh.
stirring. You got rhythm, and it's creating your base. So in the end, the roux is the
Yeah.
foundation of the relationship. Then you got some onions, a trip you went on, all
Yeah.
the little ingredients then become, different pieces of your relationship, and being that either the relationship is gone, the person that's passed, if you're the one that's passed, you still have that gumbo that represents everything that you created together.
I'm over here about to start drooling. I'm listening to what you're saying. You know I'm hungry. You just know I'm
Listen,
hungry. Like, um, I want to ask you this question, and I stole this from Angie Mart. I don't want to say I stole it, but Angie Martinez asked this question on her podcast, and I really enjoy this question. Um, so maybe she'll stop me from asking this when she sees this one day. If God were to text you right now, what would he say?
so what I want to say, I'm not gonna say to be respectful.
Oh Lord, no!
People
Why
are
you can't
so
say that?
sensitive.
Why you not gonna
Because
say that?
my conversations with God are very unfiltered.
Okay.
Um, so a lot of people's version of God don't talk the way my God talks. So, but so they can hear what I'm saying, I'm going to, kind of say, but for me, God will be like, it's a constantly, really? Or,
Really?
or in Eli language, the fuck? Because I mean, I think I find new ways to shock myself sometimes, and
Hmm.
not in a bad way.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's comical, and it's the way because I hate being, you know, I hate being in a box.
Yes.
I hate, trying to live up to your expectation, not to
Mm.
what I want to do. So I may try something, and if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. But I'm going to try it,
Yeah.
within reason. I ain't out there just,
Yeah. We know.
but within
I know.
reason.
Okay.
Within reason. So yeah. So now they be like, really? Like, oh, did that work? Lord. So yeah, no, that's my text. Don't be stealing my text either.
I think I'm gonna ask you more questions. Um, what is the name of your life's soundtrack?
My life's soundtrack, tapestry. Yeah, because when you think of a tapestry, it's something unique. Every tapestry is unique. And again, all the layers, all the colors. Even a tapestry, you can blend kind of different fabrics and textures within it.
Yeah,
Um, and I do say I have a lot of layers.
baby.
Which I
That makes sense.
I have a lot of layers, and and I'm very careful who I show what layer to. Um, and some people get all of them. And those that get all of them really see a better picture of who Eli really is. Because you can't trust everyone with every layer of you. Everyone doesn't deserve every layer of you.
So, who would you say Eli is? Eli really is.
Eli is super loyal, protective, um, humorous. Eli is a person that when he's in your corner, when he's by your side, when he's with you, you ain't gotta worry about Eli. Is Eli perfect? No. But also Eli can also have a serious conversation with you.
Yeah,
So Eli, I'm I'm a good ass dude.
baby.
I am,
Yeah,
but I'm a good ass dude who's also active. We were still working on himself in active therapy, but I'm in therapy now, you know, to maintain, to overcome, not because something happened, because I want to stay in this space.
yeah.
I've had to have hard conversations with my parents. Do I got more conversations need to be had? Absolutely. But these conversations have been had. And a lot of, you know, old wounds and kind of gaps in who Eli is, questions are being answered.
Hmm.
So he's a worker.
Yeah. He's a worker bee. Old wounds are common.
Hmm.
And I've noticed throughout my life that I've created old wounds. I have people holding on to old wounds, but that's another topic.
Mm.
But it's very interesting. I'm going to ask you one more. Slow down, slow down. But I got to find the right one for you. I want you to tell me. Since I'm so morbid, and I can't help it, but I want you to tell me about the end of life from your point of view.
The end of life from my point of view. Of course I want something peaceful. I don't want something traumatic. But if it is, let it be quick. Because just like kind of in my medical power of attorney, um, if I'm going through something like super traumatic, or if I'm gonna come back and not have a quality of life, let
Yeah,
me go.
let me go.
Because one, I don't have any children. I don't have a partner.
Yeah,
My parents are elderly. My brother is disabled. My niece is young. Who am I then going to have to be, and who am I going to have to then be a responsibility for, you know,
yeah.
because I'm alive? Let me go.
Hmm. You know, I don't think I ever shared this with you, but I'm learning that when I do have this podcast, only to share things if they really come up. So, I was a person that like pulled the plug on my sister, right? Yeah. So I remember a long time ago, she was like, if I ain't gonna have no quality of life, don't be holding on to me. So I had to make that decision. So I pretty much feel the same way. Like if I'm coming back all jacked up and ain't normal, like let me go, baby.
Let me go.
Let me go. It's okay. We're selfish to a certain extent to where like we would just want to hold on to somebody when at the end of the day it's not fair. Um
Mhm.
yeah,
Let me go.
let me go. Oh, Eli. How you feel right now?
I'm okay. I'm going down memory lane on a lot of things. This is bringing up a lot of, you know, because I've had some scary situations, being
Yeah.
hospitalized, so it's like, and, and that's also what it brought me to this kind of realization as well, because it's like, what if, and then what would have happened?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what caused me to get, a medical power of attorney, because I realized I didn't have, my shit in order,
Yeah.
and that's again with a lot of people that look like me. We don't have, planning for when that day happens done. A lot of families end up in a lot of, so where you have someone who becomes basically the boss, almost whose assets become a ward of the state, where, because they didn't have the proper documentation in place,
Yeah.
to for any
Yeah.
type of lineage to it. So I was like, I don't have much, but what I do have, what's going to happen to it?
What's gonna
What
happen
I
to it?
want to happen for me, who do I have in place to carry that out? Um, because and my medical power of attorney isn't even, family. So because it doesn't have to be. It's someone who you trust that will honor your wishes. Do my family know who it is? Yes.
Yeah. Because do you feel like when it came down to the get down, family would not honor your wishes? They would do what they wanted to do.
So I think they would, but they will also have a little hint of selfishness in it.
They'll tweak it. Yeah.
Because, part of my family is Muslim, parts Christian,
Yeah.
and my parents are separated. They've been separated for, my lifetime for the most part. So it's too many. I don't, y'all just come honor me the way I want to be honored.
Yeah.
That's it.
Speaking of, I don't know if my family will hate me for speaking on this, but, there was something that we did when my sister passed, and we all agreed on it, right? But we X'd out my nephew's father from everything. Now, he caused a lot.
Mhm.
He was the cause of a lot of things, but now that I look back, 4 years later, I'm like, damn. Like, while I be having these conversations, I think about that. Like, it had to suck from like the toxic love they had, but like to just completely cut a person out of all of the arrangements had to hurt even worse,
Mhm.
and he was there when in the hospital when she passed and all of that stuff. But like we were all so like, hell no, nigga, you will not be here. That we X'd him out. And I feel like a lot of things that happened like after all of that probably could have, I don't know if they would have been prevented, but I think it just maybe would have been the right thing to do
Mhm.
to include him on some of the decisions that we were making because he was there for a long time.
Mhm.
But yeah, you just made me think about that. So I just wanted to share. But
Yeah, man, but when you look at something like that, it's like, who am I doing this for?
yeah,
And if the answer is me, that might
mhm,
be the wrong thing.
that might be the problem. Yeah, yeah. And I know us, as in our culture, when a person dies and we got control, baby, you can't tell us nothing. Okay, it's like no,
Hmm.
no, but
Yeah.
that was the only thing we had control over. We were like, this is what we're really gonna control. That is not happening. Yeah, but I don't understand like the seating arrangements and all that stuff. How families be fighting at the funeral and stuff. Be a lot going on, but that's a whole nother story. But it
Hmm.
wasn't that type of party, He still attended, but it just was like we don't want you to be that close. Yeah. You have any?
Come on, deep sigh.
Right.
Like,
Because sometimes the conversation be heavy, and I'll be like, "What just
yeah.
happened?"
And no, and put a name on it. So, and it's not like we can go change the past, but it's saying, it's putting a name on it. So if it ever comes up again,
Yeah,
we can say, okay,
yeah,
let's really reevaluate this. Let's really look and see. And now we can go back and reference a specific name, a specific event, and say, here's what happened. Maybe, can we be bigger?
can we be bigger?
And in the moment, sometimes it's hard as hell,
Yes, baby.
because emotions are something, and that's why it's good to have all of your stuff lined out when the emotions aren't involved.
That is why,
Because once the emotions are involved, you know, these beautiful brains and minds we have can do some funky ass shit.
baby. They can do a
But
twist
when,
and a turn. Okay.
yeah, but no, because emotions are, that's there's something great because the euphoric and something you can feel with the emotion is takes you where you feeling invincible to where
Yeah.
you just can be, just batshit crazy or, in a funk, So emotions are what they are when they are. So that's why it's best for those type of moments in our lives before the emotion is right there in the forefront. Take care of your business. Take care of your business, y'all. Now, what you waiting for?
What do you have to say to the people before we wrap up?
I would say if you have something going on in your life and you don't have a name on it, name it. It's not giving it power. It's not, you beating a dead horse. It's just making sure, you know, you can name it. But then also always remember, protect your peace, know what you want, know where you want to go, and who you want to go there with. Live life and love it, baby.
Yeah.
Look, freeze frame.
I've been doing a really great job at having people in the podcast. It's been really good. That was good. Ooh. Eli, thank you, and I appreciate you. And I know I need to come see you soon, but we're not going to talk about that.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Because y'all saw he was about to come for me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You look good, friend.
Thank you. You look good as well. We just out here drinking water and minding our business.
Minding our black-owned business
Our black owned business on this Black History Month.
on
Okay.
this Black History Month.
That the powers at be are trying to remove.
They can only remove it if we let them.
Thank you for
People,
joining. Look. Thank you for joining. How you agree with the
thank you.
podcast?
Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you. Okay, so let me stop this from recording.
I truly hope you enjoyed the episode with my good Judy Eli. One of my takeaways from our conversation is to just be yourself, love yourself, know yourself. And if you are having experiences in life to where you are experiencing something and you're not aware of what it is, figure out what it is and put a name on it. Don't be scared of labels so much that you're scared to label your experience. And take care of your shit. This has been another episode of How You Grievin. Stay tuned for our next episode. And remember, every Sunday at 11:17, How You Grievin is dropping. So be sure to share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube at My Black Self with 2Ks. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.